So, hi, Ada. This is Caroline Tapkin, and I'm Executive Director of World of DMCs, which is a network of inbound destination management companies specializing in group and incentive travel into their destinations. And today I'm joined by Eda Ozden, who is our DMC in Turkey for MEP Destination Business Solutions. So, Eda, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for chatting with me, Caroline. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you. It's been a while, hasn't it? We've all been grounded a little bit, but never mind. We're moving on. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what MEP Destination does as well.
Absolutely, and I think I would be remiss if I didn't start with the fact that it's our family company. And I was literally born into this industry. Our company was founded in 1977 as a tour operations company, and we still have that division, which gives us, good coverage around the country. So it's beneficial. But our DMC department was founded in the early 90s. And when, Turkey started becoming a big global economic powerhouse and more companies were investing in it and there was more interest. So, and I joined 12 years ago, even though I still seem like the younger one, I'm not. And I was still, I've told the story so many times, but I was still a student getting my master's degree in London. And my mother, I was writing my thesis in the dreary, dark, rainy London summer. And my mother, who knows that my weak point has always been travel, as a motivation, as an inspirational trip, said, Sites Young Leaders is hosting a conference in Iceland. Do you want to go? And I said, absolutely. So I go there. I was still a student, even though I knew the industry, I didn't know anybody or sort of the specifics. And then I love the conversations, I love the people, and I love the vibe. And so as soon as I finished with my education, I joined the company. And
fantastic. Tell us what SITE is for those that don't know what SITE is.
SITE is the Society of Incentive Travel Executives. I think excellence now, sorry. And I was able to, work on the Young Leaders Program, co-chair it. Then I went on the Education Committee and then the SITE Global Board of Directors. I was blessed to have been elected and serve on it for 6 years. I just got done with it. I think it's, volunteering really gets you exposure like nothing else in this industry. Like you get to interact with people much higher level and much more global coverage than you through volunteering, because everybody appreciates volunteers and you get a camaraderie that you wouldn't otherwise get. So so it's been great. It doesn't need to be SITE, of course, but I would definitely urge everybody to get involved in not a local but a global industry association. I think it's hugely beneficial.
And it's a great way to get a foot in the door, isn't it? If you're studying tourism, hospitality, travel, to then get involved in those global organizations, you really learn through that.
Absolutely, and all of these organizations, younger, developing member, whatever rates and programs and whatnot. So
student rates and everything else.
Yeah. It's been very, very that's probably been the most beneficial thing I've done for my career. It wasn't planned, but it went on that way. It's been great.
Tell us about Turkey then. How's Turkey doing?
Turkey, we're a funny country. When we were, in my first 2 years in the business, Turkey was, oh, do you not have 10 groups there this summer? This year, everybody, it was the most popular destination. Then we had our troubles for a few years. So we suffered quite a lot through it. But then the pandemic, we kept our doors open because, country couldn't afford to close the doors. It wasn't, again, a big strategy. It was just financials. But we benefited a lot from that. So we did, except sort of the first 3-4 months, we had live events every week throughout since September 2020. So we've been super active. It's been our business a bit shifted towards private events, association events, to FITs, to product launches to the domestic market. So it's been much less like, no, not a lot of conferences or incentives. Although they've picked up, but of course that sort of slowed down a lot. But in the meanwhile, sort of the 1%, especially as soon as they got their vaccinations, they just started traveling, and it was the one place they could come together and, global audiences. And so we've done well. And I know you were asking, Cappadocia has been our cash cow. I mean, it's just such a, I think everybody is looking to run away from cities and crowds, and I think that mentality stuck with people. And Cappadocia is just it's private, it's unique, it's outdoors. There's no big hotels. It's all sort of boutique style. It's luxurious. A lot of the meals you have are private anyways.
That's always the picture you see with the hot air balloons, isn't it?
Absolutely. That famous with the weird rock formations that we call chimneys. And it's a spectacular destination, full of history, but you don't visit museums. It's an open air landscape that is a museum itself.
That's been more popular, has it?
Hugely. So I think that trend of avoiding crowds and buildings and people that we had during the pandemic, because we all felt suffocated, I think, in the cities. I think that's stuck, and I think that'll be with us. That trend seems to want to stay with us for a while. I don't know if you're hearing that from the other destinations.
Yes, people are looking for the more off the beaten track, as you say, away from the cities, something that's a little bit more maybe exclusive, open air, different from the norm. So it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues. Where are these guests coming from? Which are your main feeder countries?
Traditionally, for our MICE business, UK, US, Canada, and then some EU destinations like Benelux, Poland, Portugal, and then beyond that, some South America, some Singapore. They've been our traditional markets. But in the last few years, it's been very a really wide net. We've started seeing a lot more results from our SEO efforts, for example, because just random searches. We've been so it's really been a very wide array. I couldn't say that it's one more than the other. But yeah, I mean, we didn't have any sort of Eastern European business, but Turkey does. So unfortunately, we're going to suffer quite a bit from this recent war as a country. But that's also we have a lot more availability that we wouldn't have. So I'm hoping that will get filled with much more MICE groups searching for the sun, like the British always do.
Well, we don't see much of it back home very often. So yes, Turkey's very popular from the UK for sure. You mentioned that it's a family business. How big is the business? Are you all involved in it?
Actually, funny enough, my brother joined our tour operations department 3 weeks ago.
So congratulations.
That's fresh. So now all 4 of us are involved on a daily basis, which is insane. But I think it just runs in our blood, and travel is like a very lifestyle industry, I think.
Yes.
And if you and our old UK rep, who you might know, Harry Fine, always used to say this, and a client actually said it on stage at the recent Site Global conference. You don't become a millionaire through this industry, but you really can live a millionaire life, with the hotels that we stay in or the experiences we have. And so I think it's that lifestyle really attracted my brother. And of course, Turkey is a massive tourism exporter. It's one of our main industries with huge growth potential. So it does make sense, but every country
feuds and dinner table discussions.
A little bit too much of that, yes.
But travel it offers an enriched life, doesn't it? No, we'll never be millionaires in travel, but we see so much, experience so much.
Absolutely. I mean, it was my fourth time in Dublin last week, and yet I still learned so many new things. Met so many new people, listened to so many new stories. It's such an enrichment. I mean, I come back just, loaded with passion every time I go to one of these events, and we're really lucky in that sense. Like the last night was at I was telling you, at the Museum of Literature in Dublin, and the museum itself, of course, Irish are known for their literary success. But it was the venue, it was the museum, it was the location, but also it was the storytellers that were there, and it was just it gives you a new zest for life. So it's definitely one that I want to live in. Of course, with a young kid, it's a little bit difficult because I'm counting my hours that I'm away, but hopefully soon enough he'll join in on the fun.
Can travel with you.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
tell us what, if a group or incentive is coming to Turkey, what is the one thing that they really must do? Experience, do, see?
For incentives, the programs have been that have been the most preferred and successful have been the double-centered Istanbul plus Cappadocia programs, because it is such a beautiful contrast. You get the crazy city experience, the history, the partying, the shopping, and then you go from there, 20 million people city to this superbly sparsely populated natural landscape that is as far from cement and crowds as you can be, and do like tons of outdoor things, and it just works out so perfectly. So I think for an incentive, it hits every sense requirement as you would like with those two. Of course, you still get the hospitality and the food in both places, but the activities are so different, and the experiences, I think it just complements each other very well. So that's been, for incentives, that's been our top product, and it's worked beautifully for all ages and all backgrounds.
How many nights do you need to do that effectively?
We can do it in 2 nights in Istanbul and 1 night in Cappadocia, but I would do 2 in each to really get a proper feeling for it. And then in summer months, you can do Istanbul plus Bodrum being our fancy beach destination, sort of quite upscale, no all-inclusives. So Istanbul plus Bodrum works. Again, Bodrum is a very leisurely destination, so you get a super fast-paced incentive experience in Istanbul, and then a very leisurely paced outdoor experience in Bodrum. So those seem to work very well. And then for conferences, Istanbul is obviously it's the most easily accessible city in the world from the most number of countries. So Istanbul works very well for a global group of clients. And a lot of our historical venues are open. Well, actually, almost all of them are open for private meetings and events. So you can have your, like, at the most boring content meeting at this fantastic venue in the middle of the city. We take guests, like we even close the Grand Bazaar for evening events. So if you're stuck in the hotel the whole day, you can have your evening in a very cultural or whatever fun, authentic place, and get a city, get a very destination-oriented experience. So our conference centers are mostly in the middle of the city. So again, you can be in the Congress Center and then walk 10 minutes and be in the heart of the city, 5 minutes would be in the heart of the city. So I think Istanbul works very well for global conferences.
What's your favorite location for a dinner in the city?
My favorite thing to do in Istanbul is you go out on a sunset cruise between 2 continents on the Bosphorus, and then you end up in a private venue or a restaurant that is on the water and you reach it by its private pier. So, an hour and a half sunset cocktail reception, and then finish on disembark from your boat to your fancy club or venue. It's just such a nice way. And then, there's, as I said, there's cultural spaces, or there's very fancy dinner locations, but all on the water. And it's just, you don't get that in many places in the world. So, you don't get two continents in one city in
anywhere else.
So that's, I think, even in winter months, that's just such a gorgeous evening. You can't not be impressed by it. It's a guaranteed success.
And shopping is fantastic in the Grand Bazaar. It's where my son developed a love of chess sets.
See, it is incredible. You've no idea how many people, locals always think we're illiterate on Grand Bazaar. Like, we look at it more like for jewelry, for rugs and stuff. That's why local people would go, but foreigners, like, they find, I have clients, I have my favorite antique shop there. Or somebody says, my backgammon set is incredible. Somebody will say, like, I have a silversmith there that's been in operation for 5 generations. It's actually a really enriching place. And so it's amazing that you say the chess set too. Really beautiful. I mean, it's 4,400 shops or something. So.
It's massive, isn't it? But it's a comfortable place to be. It's comfortable to walk around. You don't feel stressed or harassed, or people are friendly and everything is there.
My favorite line is to lure you in, because they'll never, unlike some other countries, they'll never pull you in. They'll never really cut your, stop you or anything, but they'll yell out to attract you to their shops. And my favorite line is, how can I help you spend your money? I think it's a line that should be studied at sales and marketing courses around the world.
And it has to be delivered with a smile.
Absolutely. And those guys speak like 10 languages. So
they're incredible. They really are.
I don't know how they do it. So, and so they'll yell at you in your own language with this sentence, and you're like, you can't help but be impressed by that approach.
What's the peak time of year for you? When are you busiest?
Spring and fall. Spring and fall, we get, it's hellish. We go from city to city, morning, evening, it gets very, very intense. Summer is lovely here, especially in Istanbul. It doesn't get too hot, and most hotels is shoulder season. So they're not the cheapest, but not expensive rates for most hotels either. So we'd love to do more in July and August, but European travelers don't travel for business a lot in those months.
And there's a lot of competition for those months, isn't there?
Exactly. So, but for business events, July and August in Istanbul is such good rates, such good weather. It's definitely underutilized. And in winter, we mostly have business, pharma meetings and things like that. But summer, like this May is, everybody's sort of stressing out about how we will get through it. It's an intense month. It always gets like that. May, June, September, October.
Maybe we should start talking to companies about July and August doing family incentives. Bring the family with.
I totally, and I think people seem to say that in the pandemic, people appreciated spending more time with their kids. So I think those family incentives or individual incentive rewards, as they were saying in another way, that they've becoming a lot more popular now. We have a pandemic baby, so my husband and I can't imagine a life where, we would see him less. It's just, we've gotten so used to it in the last 2 years. I would imagine a lot of people feel that way.
Yes, and when you think about it, if you're having a room for somebody, why not bring the family? It doesn't cost very much extra to do that. Great way of filling up those shoulder months and being more budget friendly and treating the people well.
Yes, I think it would be, if I was working in a corporation and they offered me a trip where I can take my kids, It's like that's hitting so many birds with one stone. Like, you know, they become friendly with your colleagues' kids. It builds such a great company culture, familiar atmosphere, and you know, and I would appreciate it so much. And I think all the companies now with the whole Great Resignation, you know, they're looking for ways to keep their staff on, you know, create loyalty. You know, family is how you create loyalty. Like if you know,
supporting the person.
That's the heart of everything, you know. If you hit a working mother from the heart by getting their kids involved, you know, that person will never leave you.
And certainly for European companies, Turkey is so accessible.
Huge. I mean, it would be, you would be very remiss if you didn't have like a 3-4 hour maximum, like a 3-hour drive to an airport where you have a direct flight to Istanbul from. I mean, it's everywhere is connected to Istanbul. So, but we are getting a lot more flights to our 3 summer destinations, Bodrum, Antalya, and Dalaman, which you reach Fethiye region from. We are getting, even for Cappadocia, actually, we have direct flights from continental Europe now, once or twice a week, so not very frequent, but in 5 months out of the year, from, for example, Netherlands and Belgium, we have direct flights to Cappadocia even. So I think Turkish Airlines is expanding they were very focused on Istanbul, but I think more and more they're expanding their reach from those cities to Europe as well, which should help us a lot.
That will help with groups and incentives, won't it? So you don't have to change in the city.
When you have a 3-night incentive, nobody wants to do a connection, you know. It's,
no.
You know. So our long haul clients don't mind it. So that's why they do a lot more double centered incentives, because they come in.
They come for longer. Yeah.
But when it's 2-3 night incentive, of course they don't want to transit, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah. How is the rest of the year looking? You mentioned May is going to be crazy. What about the rest of the year?
As I said, I mean, we now have a very good mix of private events. So like we have this Swiss gentleman bringing his 150 best friends for a trip to Istanbul for his something birthday in August, for example. So we're having more and more these kinds of events, which is great. So it gives us a better balance, cash flow balance throughout different months, because usually we would, being completely honest, we usually would go into March having made a loss already in January, February, or
it's very seasonal.
Case. So that was always, we were always fine. We always know we'll be fine, but you know, cash flows are difficult things because we need to make payments much earlier to a lot of further out events. So it's always a hard balance. So these private events and FITs have been that we never pursued before, but with the pandemic that we happen to do more and more and more of. That's been a great way for us to expand our reach and balance out our months.
Yeah. Are there any events coming up this year that we should be aware of? Any big concerts or conventions or anything like that?
Next year we have the Champions League final in Istanbul. May or at the end of May 23. This year we have it's more cultural. We have the Istanbul Modern Museum, which was broken down and rebuilt by the famous architect of the Shard and Pompidou, Renzo Piano. So his Istanbul Modern Museum is opening in June, which is very exciting for us. We have a brand new cruise port that opened, and more things within it are opening up. That's exciting for us. And then the country's been really focusing on culture. So Beyoğlu, which is like the Taksim, Pera, Galata, Karaköy, like the heart of the city. Twice a year now, they have something called the Beyoğlu Cultural Route. And every like 5 buildings, there's a new exhibition. So we actually have some groups and fam trips attending a lot of these, incorporating that into their programs. So that's sort of what's the most exciting in Istanbul at the moment. And the Michelin Guide just announced that they're adding Turkey to their portfolio. The winners, the stars, will be announced in October. So we'll see how.
Awesome competition there then.
That should be good. It's always, competition is always good.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Okay, I mean, that's very interesting and very helpful, I think, for our audience. So if people want to reach out to you and find you, how do they find you?
Well, they can go on the World of DMC sites and access our, if they search for Turkey or MEP.
Right answer there.
And then if not, we're always available. We try to remain as involved as we can be on social media, LinkedIn, especially because we're in a B2B business. LinkedIn has always proven very effective for us. Mm-hmm. And those are the different ways, all of our information is listed everywhere. We're very open.
You're very active on Instagram and Facebook, and
trying our best.
One of our most active members, I have to say.
We're trying our best. We could always do a lot. We could all do a lot more, always. I'd love to do more campaigns and, client engagement events. But, as you were saying, we're all short-staffed and life is still quite uncertain with the pandemic and the war. With the resources we have, all of us are in the industry are trying to do our best, right?
Oh, and there are only so many hours in the day, and you have to have some downtime as well yourself with the family. So
well, everybody, I think at the global conference again, they were saying everybody has been working, the people who are left are working in the survival mode, so working like extreme hours and and everybody's been, the staff have also been very understanding, but you can only continue like that so much. And in Turkey, because our summers are so gorgeous, all of our colleagues use their holidays in the summer. So especially in the summer months, we're always stretched so thin. So, there's always a gazillion projects that we're all trying to do, but hopefully the world will become a little bit more stable in the coming months. That's the hope and the goal for 22, I think, stability.
Yeah, and while we all get used to traveling again and doing all these things, be kind to one another and be considerate, because people are just getting used to it again, learning how to travel again, people have forgotten how to do all of this, so we all have to be a little bit patient as well.
I think that family life has become a lot more accepted now. So where in the past as a mother, we would try to be completely corporate, separated out severely. But now I have a site inspection coming in tomorrow, and I told the client, Thursday, I'll leave you to the hotel at around 6. I'll go back, put the kid to sleep, and come back out again. And it is what it is.
People understand.
But I would have, and then I was having a very important conference call with this super high-level businessman from the UK, an older guy too. And my kid walked in. He opened the door and walked in. It was because it was late night because of the time difference. And he just said, "This is life it is now, isn't it?" And you would have expected an older guy to not be so adapted to the new realities. He was like, no, this is how life is now. It's okay.
I think we've all got used to Zoom. We've all got used to working from home. We're all a little bit more considerate of that other people have lives and families. And
if we're having if you want me to take a 7 p.m. call, there is a risk that the kid is going to walk in the door. It is what it is. And I've gotten a lot more comfortable with this. And I think a lot of working parents feel that. So I think
we no longer have anything to prove. We're not trying to prove anything.
Not really. It's the reality. And yes. So I think that's the one good thing that hopefully came out of the pandemic, is more acceptance to family lives.
I have a dog sitting behind me who pops up occasionally, and you can see her face. That's life.
What it is.
Welcome to the new reality.
So that's the one good thing, hopefully, that will remain.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Eda. Very nice to see you. And hopefully we get to meet face to face again very soon.
this year, please.
Yeah, please. Where's your next trade show? Where will you be next?
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt, IMEX Frankfurt
IMEX
at the end of
Frankfurt.
May, isn't it, this year?
Yes.
Good
And
luck
then,
with that one. And
yes,
maybe we meet
exactly.
again at IBTM in Barcelona,
Hopefully.
November,
Hopefully.
December, whatever those
Hopefully.
dates are now.
Hopefully.
You take care. Thank you very
Thank
much
you so
indeed.
much, Caroline.